Hi, Chukwuemeka, how are you doing? Okay, so both of the Chukwuemekas are here. We have Chukwuemeka Azubuike and Chukwuemeka Dike. How are you all doing? Okay, so today we'll be discussing the Metaverse and prospects of the Metaverse. I think this is an interesting topic. And it's okay, so they said they are doing fine. It's also a new topic for a lot of people. So I'm sure that we'll be able to learn from it. I'll just go ahead to read what we're about quickly. Just hold on. Okay, so JIIPCC Artificial Intelligence and Technology Mentorship and Internship Program is a quarterly program for students, young professionals, and enthusiasts across Africa. Mentees are afforded the opportunity to access valuable advice, training, network mentorship, internship discussion forums, industry updates, and resource materials from experienced mentors. This program seeks to encourage continuous training, development, and evolution in Africa and around the world. You can watch our videos by searching for JIIPCC on YouTube and Facebook, hashtag JIIPCC-MIP. Our objectives are to provide easy access to quality professional guidance, training, and resource materials for students, young professionals, and enthusiasts in Africa to facilitate dialogue and network among experienced and less experienced practitioners and stakeholders to transform mentees into mentors and leaders for the next generation of mentees to facilitate further mentorship, internship, scholarships, and job placements for mentees. I would also like to encourage us to take advantage of the private mentorship session, which we can use to meet up with our mentors and ask more personal questions if we'd like to. And then finally, I would like us to know that for the second quarter, this is the flyer. You can invite your friends to apply for both this or that of the of intellectual property or artificial intelligence, whichever. They can sign up now, and it's going to be starting in April. I can see that David is here. Hi, David. It's good to see you. So for group 2, I reached out to them and they said that they would not be able to join us today because most of them are still in school and writing exams. So for group 1 that is here, we'll be listening to your presentations. Please let me know who will be presenting and who will be sharing the slides. You can go ahead to make your presentation.
I'll be presenting for group 1. Good morning, Ms. Juliana. Good morning, David.
Please go ahead.
Okay, yes. So good morning, everybody. I hope we have had a good week. I would be presenting on the topic of what the metaverse is. I don't know, is there a need to use the video option, madam? Hello? Hello?
It will be good to see your face, but if you feel you want to keep your face hidden, that's still fine. Hello, I can hear you. I said it would be good to see your face. However, if you want to keep your face hidden, that's still fine. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. I think it's lagging, I think, a bit. But can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Okay, I will go ahead and make the presentation then. My colleague was supposed to share the screen, but however, she's currently unavailable, okay. Due to one or two things. But nevertheless, I'll go on to say that I will be presenting on the metaverse and what it means and the prospects and development of the metaverse. What is the metaverse anyway? It's been in the news, it's been in the media recently. It's more of such a buzzword that everybody has to know what it is. And since Facebook announced, I believe Facebook made an initial announcement in 2018 about expanding to create and include such a virtual reality that is so real that it would almost be at par with our society today. So what is this metaverse? The metaverse refers to a digital reality that combines aspects of social media, online gaming, augmented reality, virtual reality, and cryptocurrencies to allow users to interact virtually. Basically, this is saying that what the metaverse is a combination of VR, AR, such that it gives the online user, it gives such an experience that would almost be tantamount, let me use the word almost, because it's not quite reality, but would be so close to reality that users would have such a hard time believing that, oh yeah, we are not actually in the real world. So the metaverse basically is the developments are being made, or improvements are being made in such a way that users can have such a full experience online or in virtual reality. They can do things that they would have ordinarily been unable to do in the virtual space. But due to the metaverse, online users or users basically, or anyone that wants to, would be able to do human activities that we are hitherto considered too complex for AI, or too complex for too complex to be projected into virtual reality. Humans would be able to do that on the metaverse. I should start by saying that the metaverse is not entirely a new concept. Literature, movies have made mention, or have referred to a shadow, or should I say they have foreshadowed the concept of the metaverse in such a way that there are movies that have been made as to alternate realities that look so real, where monies are being spent. I believe we've all seen the Matrix. I believe we've all seen the Matrix. I believe that we are familiar with the concept of the Matrix movie, and how the movie played out, where users of the Matrix were able to enter into an alternate reality from what is being referred to as terminal points. But as opposed to because that movie, I saw the movie when I was quite young, and it was a bit gory for me, because how they were able to access their virtual reality was a bit how they were able to access the Matrix, or the virtual reality. The virtual reality in that movie was called the Matrix. So how they were able to access it was a bit invasive, the spike to the back of the head. But in place of that, the metaverse would make use of terminal points that are non-invasive, such as virtual reality goggles, Oculus and the likes, and everything. Basically non-invasive, to give users an experience that is almost as though they were, in reality. So I was saying that the metaverse is not technically a new concept, although Facebook, which has rebranded to be Metaverse, has improved it in such a way that whereas all the other developments. I'm sorry.
Is Facebook Metaverse or Metaverse or Meta?
Meta. I mean, pardon me for that. The founders, that is the founder, Mark Zuckerberg, had earlier in 2018 given a speech on how he wanted to create such a world that artificial virtual reality and augmented reality are so real in such a way that they will be at par with humanity. So I was thinking that concept he was looking to develop is what he brought out the name Meta out of. I don't know. I may have been too hasty. I may have busy gone in, just calling it Metaverse. But
I was just trying to I knew Facebook rebranded to Meta, so you called it Metaverse. So that's just what I wanted to clear.
Apologies then. Meta. It is Meta.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes. Yes, the concept is not entirely new. There are books and
Am I the only one that can't hear him?
No, I can't hear him also, and I'm not sure. Maybe his network is maybe someone from his group can continue while he works on joining us again. Okay, I can see some of his group members here, so I don't know if, yeah. Okay.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, this is Chukwemeka.
Okay.
Apologies for that. I'm sorry. The network just tripped off for some reason.
The presentation.
Hello.
Yes, you can
Yes, I'm
continue.
sorry. I can't. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. The network was, very easy. Yes. So, like I was saying, the concept of the metaverse is not entirely new, and in that same vein, I can say that there are several other creations that have mirrored or almost mirrored what the metaverse is supposed to be, or is what the metaverse was. Oh no, they were trying to be what the metaverse is, but not quite. Some of these things are, multiplayer online games where users can build an avatar, users can buy, sell, trade, have fun, play games, just exchange goods and services basically. But most of these multiplayer online games are not quite metaverses. I had to research on it, and they were actually termed proto metaverses, which is taken to mean that they exist in isolation and they are like a digital island. They're not quite connected, and how do I put this? Whatever is being bought or whatever is being sold or whatever is being exchanged there, can never be of use outside that particular reality, or that particular should I use the word? Yeah, that particular reality in which they exist in. So, the point is that, what the metaverse is, the concept is not quite new. The concept is one that has been sort of created. But I think the difference between the metaverse and other kinds of other developments that resemble or look like the metaverse is that the metaverse contains features that are designed, or features that are pushing towards giving an online experience or creating a totally new experience where people can socialize, conduct business, and experience immersive entertainment. So basically what this trying to say is like the metaverse is trying to give you a like feel of the world, but in a virtual reality, a like feel of what the or an almost like feel of the world, but in a contained space, in a virtual reality where you can log in and log out at will. Another differentiating feature actually between the metaverse and other type of virtual realities is that while in other realities things can
someone share the screen from your end.
Oh, so nobody's sharing the screen?
No.
Oh, sorry, give me a minute. I think I can. It's just that once I start sharing the screen, I think it interferes with the
Okay, then you can leave that out. That's okay. I was just
okay.
thinking that someone from your group can do that.
Can Chukwemeka Dike, can you please project the screen? I think you were doing that once. Is that possible?
Are you talking about the slides?
The slides, yes, the slides.
Okay, I could do that.
Okay, please. Okay, why he puts it up? So that is the idea behind the metaverse. Virtual reality, augmented reality, interactive video that would give online users experiences, online user an experience, or take it to a whole new level, creating an entire world where people can, do business as though they were in actual reality. Why the metaverse? Why was the metaverse created? What is the reason behind the metaverse? More even in the wake of the pandemic, people are realizing that there are certain things that can be seamlessly. We thought that they could not be, because for some the idea of remote work might have been such a strange concept pre COVID-19. But I think the basic idea behind the metaverse is such that, is it possible, if it were possible that there was a means to carry on businesses or do things from the comfort of your house, you just need to log on to a particular forum, or you just need to go online and log into, say, one or two of these virtual worlds, and you in that virtual world you can access your meetings, you can access your office, you can buy and sell, you can trade, you can have fun without actually leaving the comfort of your house, or without actually incurring costs as to daily living, or incurring expenses that would normally that would normally be incurred if you were to do this the normal way. Then why not? I think that also one of the ideas behind the metaverse is, because I'm sure most of us have heard web 3.0, to basically remove the economists would be middlemen and bring things directly to people. Users can experience, take for instance cryptocurrency. I'm sorry, I'm diverting a bit. Ordinarily, if you wanted money, you would go to a bank, issue a check, and if you wanted to cash a check, or you would have to, if you wanted to transfer, you would have to use banks as middlemen. But imagine such an instance where without even leaving the comfort of your house, you are sending coins through, you're sending coins and you're receiving payments in your wallets, receiving coins in your wallets, receiving payments, even without having to visit traditional banks. So I think this is one of the ideas. Another purpose behind this creation of the metaverse is to foster rich human connection, such that, like I said, you'll be able to do most things virtually. We are past the manpower age. Nobody has to sweat to do things. Nobody should have to sweat to do things. And the metaverse, one of the reasons the metaverse was established is to, aid the, basically aid doing of things without exerting extra labor, without exerting so much energy, just doing things from the comfort of your home, doing things seamlessly with a click of, with the tap of a button, with you logging into something, you are doing your tasks, you are doing things that need to be done, and who knows, you're even having fun without even having to exert too much energy. For opportunity's sake, we are hearing rather of many businesses. I know of a law firm that recently bought a space on the metaverse, doing businesses in the metaverse, establishing shops, establishing how do I put it, establishing places of business in the metaverse, such that if, for instance, I in Nigeria needed the services of a person or a law firm, say in the US, and I obviously cannot wake up today and decide to travel to the US when I don't have my visa and tickets, airline tickets, and everything. But with the aid of the metaverse, all I need to do is to log in through a terminal point. Log into a terminal point and locate where this law firm or where this business is on the metaverse, make purchases, do get services of things I would not have been ordinarily able to do, if I were waiting on, the traditional ways of doing things. If I were waiting on if I were waiting on, say, getting a visa or buying an airline ticket, it creates ease. I think it creates ease in the doing of things. I think that is one of the takeaway that one of the things I've taken away, that is the purpose of creating the metaverse. Basically reinventing and revolutionizing the way that things have been done, bringing a new concept of doing things such that it is seamless, it is easy, it is stress-free, and it would remove would-be middlemen. It would remove people who would ordinarily, would I use the word, make a profit from acting as a go-between between you and, say, the services you want. It removes the need of those people, and it brings these things to your doorstep where you can access them easily. I'll move on to regulating the metaverse. as it stands now, what the metaverse is exploding. The use of the metaverse is exploding. The use of virtual, and okay, let me leave that aside. The use of the virtual metaverse is exploding, such that if in 2015 you mentioned virtual reality, what would likely come to your mind would have been, say, gamers, people that play these high-tech games and that immerse themselves in the game and they literally see themselves there. But now you're having not only gamers using virtual reality, you're having businessmen, you're having in the nearest future, I believe, government entities, you're having students, you're having creatives, you are creators rather, you're having artists, you're having musicians, you're having several other people using the metaverse. And to this end, it is important that there is a sort of code or guideline or regulation that should guide the conduct of what happens in the metaverse. The basic truth of this matter is this: wherever more than 2 or 3 humans find themselves, there is a need for a guiding code or a sort of guideline to live by. And in the absence of this, you best believe that things would descend into chaos faster than, that the chaos that would overtake that creation would overshadow the intended purpose for that particular thing. And how do I mean by this? For instance, we are saying that yes, the metaverse is being used, the metaverse should be used, but now that people from all walks of life are utilizing the metaverse for businesses, for entertainment, for several purposes, what is to say that the data of these people would not be tampered with? Or what is to say that because of their using of the metaverse, their data, data which can be derived from the patterns, the patterns or the behaviors they exhibit on the metaverse cannot be diverted to an unauthorized purpose? What is to say that their data is safe? What kind of guidelines regulate the the processing of users' data in the metaverse? Because let's face it, the metaverse is not reality. Like, if we were in reality, if we were in the world as it is, there are data regulations, there are data acts, data protection acts, data protection regulations that will guide the conduct of collecting human data and processing that data within the confines of where you find yourself. But this is virtual reality. This is the metaverse. It is wholly uncharted. It is virtual reality. It is different from what we know. So there should be a need, I believe, for some kind of regulation to guide conduct. And one of the areas that need regulation, I've just been talking about it, data privacy, the privacy of people within the metaverse. Is there any guideline? Should there not be a guideline to regulate this? Should there not be a guideline to regulate how the data of individuals or companies or entities that use the metaverse are collected, processed? What is the guideline? Is there an option? Is there a provision for putting on privacy notices? Are there privacy notices that exist in the metaverse? Where are these notices put up? What guides the conduct of processing of these people's data? And questions like, okay, if you log onto the metaverse, you exhibit some kind of behavior and you log out. When does how do I put it? When does your data with the metaverse, when is it destroyed, or how is it collected? How is it processed? If in the event that you do not want to use the metaverse anymore and you request for all your data or the log of your activities to be destroyed, is there an appropriate body to make this request to? Is there an appropriate body to handle such a request? So issues like this arise, and it is almost as regulating the metaverse or regulating data privacy within the metaverse is almost as important as the reason why the metaverse was created. Another reason for regulation actually is so that the conduct acceptable or unacceptable within the metaverse will be specified. Recently, I don't know if we all came across the news. Recently, there was a report of a user being grouped on the metaverse, or I don't know if it's metaverse, but some kind of virtual reality. This raises so many important questions because, while there are creation of, say, haptic technologies that would, enable you feel what is being felt in the metaverse, essentially, it's using metaverse. Users need to create an avatar, and these avatars are should I use the word manifestation of humans within the metaverse. in the instance that I just made mention of, say a user was being groped or her avatar was being groped, if say the woman was using one of those haptic technologies and she felt the effect of being, she felt the sensation of actually being groped through, those haptic technologies, what laws would apply? Does she have a cause of action? Does she have a means to seek redress? Does she have does she have any remedy available? Basically, I think that questions like this are important, and to ensure that there is safety, to ensure the safety of users within the metaverse, to ensure that it doesn't descend into a rabble house, to ensure that acceptable conduct are of priority within the metaverse. It is important that conduct be regulated. It's important that there be rules, whether a global one, whether because the idea behind the metaverse is that it's a world not restricted by cities or walls or laws or the same restrictions you would have in real life situations or in the real world will not necessarily apply. But even at that, I believe that there is a need for some kind of code to guide conduct of humans in the metaverse. Even recently, reference have been made to the fact that in certain I don't know the term to use to describe it, but links to the dark web where arms can be purchased, where you can do all sorts of dubious things. Links to that have recently been found in some parts of the metaverse, and I believe that although the idea is to create a seamless world, but should it be a world where anything goes? Should it be a world where anything is acceptable? Should it be a world where you can, because should it be a world where users who seek to escape justice or who seek to escape the long arms of the law, should it be a world where they go to commit their atrocities and then come out claiming that they are innocent, or come out claiming that, oh, I did it on the metaverse and I should not, since it happened on the metaverse, I should not be punished for something that I did not actually do here in the real world. It happened on the metaverse, you should stay on the metaverse and things like that. So I believe there should be a jurisprudence, a body of law developed in this regard to guide conduct within the metaverse. And although these technologies or these innovations are created to give humans, a sort of freedom, if you put it that way, sort of freedom to, just do as they would if, the world was an unregulated and decentralized environment. Even at that, it follows that it behooves actually the creators of this decentralized world or this free world, quote unquote, to create some sort of guidelines to guide the conduct of human activities, because without rules, basically, I believe it would descend into chaos. Also, another interesting aspect of the metaverse that needs another interesting aspect of the metaverse that should be subject to some sort of regulation is transaction and ownership within the metaverse. Let me take the aspect of ownership in the sense that it's not news that people are buying up real estate in the metaverse. People are buying up real estate for millions of dollars, actually. And when you think about it, if you think about it a bit, buying up land that you never get to use or never get to actually enter into personally, it seems like a crazy idea. But however, people are buying this. People are buying land. People are buying these things. People are charging people fees for entering this land. Creators are buying up spaces to hang their art. Like I mentioned earlier, a law firm, I can't quite remember. I think I would find it later and put it up in our group. A law firm bought up a space for their virtual law firm. And it's not small feat. It's not, the resources used to buy up that space was going into millions. The question is, are there rules that govern transactions? Are there rules that govern real estate, property ownership in the metaverse? How would take for instance, you buy a land in the metaverse and I, claim it's a decentralized world and nobody owns anything, and I walk into, or I do something that affects the quality, or I do something that, infringes on your rights to your land in that metaverse, what recourse would you have to seek redress for that wrong I have done? In the event that, say, because this is an online platform and safe as it is susceptible to hackers. In the event that the law firm that bought the land or the space, let me use the word space because land is a bit funny when I think about it. So let me use the word space. The law firm that bought the space, if perchance the law firm were hacked today and dispossessed of that space on the metaverse, what would be their recourse? What would be their relief, or what would be their means to getting that particular space back? Are these things that I believe these are things that we should consider? These are things that we should consider in, thinking about regulating the space. Although, like I said earlier, although there is the freedom, there is the bypassing of, the bypassing of middlemen to do one or two of these things. I think that it should not just be left to individuals. People should not just be left to make up rules as they go. People should not just be left to do as they please. Another instance I want to give is the instance of competition. Yes, competition. For instance, people that have the means are buying up spaces in say the metaverse. People are buying up spaces in the metaverse. Should there not be some kind of conduct or some kind of rule or regulation to regulate how and when and at what price these spaces should be divested of? Should it just be left to the will, or should it just be left to the choice of the original buyers to set the prices of these things? If we are set at a ridiculous price, if we are set at an exorbitant price, should that be allowed to have free reign? Should that be allowed to pass for, individuals can do as they please in the metaverse, individuals can buy as much as they want and, dispossess? Should there be a limit? Should there be some kind of regulation? Should there be some kind of regulation regulating this kind of activities? I think these are questions that we must consider even as we go forward even as the world embraces the use of the metaverse and any other virtual reality that would support these features, even as the world embraces them and come to rely on them whole time. Because if we are honest about it, if the idea is for the metaverse or any other virtual reality with equal features, if the idea is that it be at par, or it is equally as if the idea is that it be at par with the world as we have it, it will not be fair, really. Neither would it be just to allow individuals as they are regulate things like prices. There should be some kind of regulation to guide or to ensure that everything is done in a just and equitable manner. So that is on the regulation of, or the regulations to be, because as I during the research, I didn't find any form of regulation. I believe that talks are going on in international bodies. Talks are going on as to, I believe the European Union is currently discussing one on, or is it the UK is currently discussing one on I think acceptable regulations along that line within the metaverse, but nothing is in concrete, nothing has been cast in stone. But I think that this consideration should guide us even as we go along. The prospects of the metaverse. Basically, what is the future of the metaverse? What future does the metaverse hold? What are the gains of the metaverse? What are the gains of the metaverse? Hello, hello, can you hear me?
Yep,
Hello.
I can hear you.
I can hear you.
Yes, I was talking about the gains of the
I can hear
metaverse.
you.
The metaverse, the prospects, as it is now, like I said earlier, people are actually coming to embrace it as an alternate source of living. People are coming to, like I said earlier, if you mentioned buying and selling in virtual reality in say 2014, 2015, the only people that will come to your mind are these gamers that trade things, buy weapons, gamers that do things within the confines of the gaming applications and everything. But if you were to mention buying and selling in the virtual space now, what would come to most people's mind is the fact that you can allocate a space to yourself for, I believe, for a certain amount paid or payable. You can allocate that space and it will be yours in a virtual reality, in the metaverse, in a reality that is quite different from, and it is yours to do as you please. It is yours to use as you please. For the prospect, I foresee an event where it's possible that most jobs or most businesses as we have it have their base of operation as the metaverse. Speaking on businesses, have their base of operation as the metaverse, such that instead of individuals to walk in physically, like wake up in the morning or walk to work or drive to work, all you need to do is to just log on to your virtual office, and in the event that more technologies are being developed, you would have the feel of actually being in an office, the sensation, the feels, the looks, everything to ensure that everything to give you the feel that, oh, I'm actually in an office, and you'll be able to experience all of this without leaving the confines of your home. What does it mean for creators? What does it mean for artists? What does it mean for digital artists? Basically, it would drive. Hello?
Yep.
Yes. Can we hear me? I'm sorry, I think it keeps tripping off a bit.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yes. Basically, for creators, the metaverse would create an environment where the works of artists are appreciated and can be owned and can be sold rather at a particular fee to their benefit, such that it's possible that I know we are all familiar with the concept of NFTs. We're all familiar with that concept of NFTs. It's possible that creators would base all of their artworks on the metaverse, and payments will be done there without the need of artists, or without the need of artists or creators peddling this art up and down. You just situate it in your own showroom. You just put your art in your showroom. Whoever needs it or whoever wants to buy it would be able to access it there, and would be able to and yes, most importantly, the issue of copywriting. Artists can live free of the fear that their work would ever be replaced, or their work would ever be quote unquote stolen and replicated without their knowledge. For transactions, what does the metaverse mean? Well, what is the prospects rather, pardon me, of transactions in the metaverse? Basically, in my view, because I'm still learning on the concept, basically, in my view, I think that the metaverse would have that effect of, what's the word? removing traditional means of making payments and buying things would remove that hindrance of people or middlemen that would ordinarily charge for, say, things like would ordinarily charge you for things like transaction. In this instance, you can walk up or you can buy things, purchase things on the go from wherever they are located in the metaverse. And I think the interesting, or what makes it different from other virtual realities, is that whatever that is being bought there can be taken out. So you have your cryptocurrency, your wallets and everything, payments are being made into it. Obviously, you can transfer your money or if you are being paid in coins or NFTs, whichever is your choice, you can transfer same out of the metaverse and into your pocket. As opposed to other virtual realities where whatever happens in that place ends in that place, you can't actually take it out or you can actually make use of it. Well, I foresee the reality where these payments can be made in the metaverse. Payments would be made in the metaverse. Payments would be taken out of the metaverse or brought into the metaverse to be expended on things that should be bought there or things that can be bought there, or things like that. Let me round up with the challenges of the metaverse. I have mentioned some of this such as the data privacy and protection challenges. As forward and as advanced as the metaverse is, it still depends on the creators or security systems or the users or the creators of this technology to create a method of collecting and processing and storing user data in such a way that they can't be compromised. I don't pretend that this would not come with its own challenges, because nobody before now, although there have been resemblances of what the metaverse should look like, before now there has never been a combination of these technologies and realities as they are now. And people are literally, regulators will just be basically trying to play catch up. And it might mean that I'm not certain, it might mean that a new body or set of rules and regulation would arise to protect and safeguard issues like instances of data issues in the metaverse, creating a new body of law, creating new regulations to guide conduct specifically for the metaverse. Obviously, this would be peculiar, and this might take a lot of time, but I believe in the long run, and if it is the expected desire of creators such as Mr. Mark Zuckerberg, if it is the expectation that people come to depend heavily on these creations and technologies such as the metaverse to carry on and transact business, or to generally just have fun, if it is the expectation that they become almost as popular as if it's the expectation that it becomes an alternate reality, such that if you're not here, you are there. If it's the expectation, then I believe that this challenge of data should be addressed, and bodies of law that would address and bodies of law that will regulate it should be thought up and actually passed. There's also the issue of identity and liability in the metaverse. Identity in such a way that although we agree that we are experiencing, we agree that the living or experiencing in metaverse is such an immersive situation, but if we were to keep it a buck, you're not the ones experiencing this thing. It is your avatar, and the issue of whether your avatar is a virtual representation of you, and whether your avatar has rights, and whether your avatar has obligations, would basically open up a new concept or a new discussion in the concept of legal personality. Because let's face it, taking it back to the example of the woman that was harassed in I don't know whether it's the metaverse. I don't want to be hasty and say she was harassed in the metaverse, but let's just say the woman that was harassed in virtual reality. What happened was, if we were to simplify it, or if we were to take it down to the basics, what happened was an avatar grouping another avatar. Nobody grouped the woman in person. It was not her person that was grouped. It was her avatar that was grouped. However, she felt violated. what would be the logical conclusion of this matter? What would be the next step that is taken? Would we say that, oh, since it happened in the metaverse and the fact that, it didn't happen to you, it's not a personal, it did not happen to you personally, it happened to your avatar, so forget about it. Is that the way to go? And in the same vein, like I also mentioned before, if she was wearing a device that would enable her, because the idea of the metaverse is that you're not only seeing into the metaverse, you're experiencing all that is being experienced. The idea of the metaverse is that you experience all that is being experienced in the metaverse. And if somebody hits you or holds you at gunpoint, or actually shoots at you in the metaverse, and you're feeling some of the effects through your haptic technologies, would we consider that a crime? Would we consider that a crime? And if we do consider it a crime, who would enforce these things? Issues like this arise. Issues of personality, issues of the concept of crime itself, the concept of civil liabilities itself, the concept of innocence and guilt, the concept of guilty and innocent, the concept of who to adjudicate on these matters. Issues like this arise, and it's not exactly clear, because once you think about it, these things are happening quite all right, but they are not happening to you as a person. If it were to happen to you as a person, the proper channel to seek recourse to, but they're happening to a representation of you in the metaverse, your avatar. And these avatars are not exactly human beings. They're not exactly people. They are representations, virtual representations. So what would be the logical step, or what would be the logical conclusions of this? So that these are issues that are to be thought on, to be pondered on, and these are issues that are to be pondered on and to be thought out carefully before there is an expansion and explosion of users in the metaverse. Because if these issues are not deliberated on and are not if these issues are not treated now, when the use of the metaverse is in its early stages, in events that in the event that the users double or triple and people start trooping in, wanting to get an experience of this, and things like this happen, what would the occurrence or the natural result of these things would be, where people are claiming that they have been wronged, and where people claim they have been wrong, they expect that they be redressed on that wrong. They expect there to be a redress. But without these systems in place, where someone claims they have been wronged on the metaverse, and where someone claims that, oh yeah, this happened, and there is no issue, or there is no means to which to bring redress to that person, it raises an issue as to the sustainability, as to the safety of that virtual reality that is being used. So issues like this need to be thought out and deliberated upon by chief stakeholders in that space. Yes, there is also the issue of law and jurisdiction in the metaverse. The issue of regulation here have never been in question now. The problem with this issue is determining who to be held accountable. I believe I've spoken at length on this. Accountability. Oh yeah, the person that was grouped, somebody grouped the person. What should happen to the person? Should their avatar be suspended for? Should they be hit? Should they be banned from the metaverse? Who would enforce the ban? Can the ban not be bypassed? Can the ban be appealed? Did he mean to group her? Was he actually grouping her? Was he trying to brush past her? Who decides all of this? Is there an arbiter? Is there an adjudicator? Is there a system of laws that these issues will be decided? Who gets to decide all of this? And who vests them with that authority to decide it? And in the event that say, for instance, property. Let me round up on that. Yeah. So who gets to decide on issues like this? So these are some of the challenges that face that the metaverse, is popular as it is. These are some of the challenges that they are facing. And these challenges are instrumental because the creators of this space seek to seek to provide a reality where people can congregate, come together, and carry on businesses. In other terms, an alternate reality. And if they expect people to embrace it and actually troop in in droves to use this particular piece of creation, it behooves them to create a system of order where things can be addressed and things can be, things can be brought to logical conclusion. There's also the system of there's also the issue of currency and payments in the metaverse. Questions that may arise in this instance would be the mode of transactions and whether users can trust such transactions, and issues of legitimacy, issues of the fact that, oh, okay, yeah, although this is the payment in the but what if I'm not comfortable with this particular brand of payment? What if I'm not comfortable with, or even instances of what if I can't, what if there's no way of verifying, the quality of what I'm buying? Am I just to buy things without questions? Are there checks that these things are put through? If I'm worried about, oh, okay, this artwork, how would you assure me on the authenticity of this artwork? How would you assure me as to the quality of this artwork? How would you assure me on this and that? How would you assure me that I would, get what I pay for? How would you assure me that my payment system is seamless? How would you assure me that I cannot, simply due to using your payments, how do you assure me that my information, my monies are protected within this space? So issues like this are to be considered. Let me conclude by saying that, okay, let me state the challenge of time and space in the metaverse. The concept of perception, basically, like I stated earlier, at the beginning of the presentation, people access the metaverse through terminal points, and once they're in the metaverse, their perception of what is and what isn't changes because they are immersed in another reality different from the one they are coming from. In the event that there is a technology that achieves total immersion, full immersion, I believe we've seen I don't know how many of us have seen the Black Mirror series where the immersion was total and they were fully within that virtual reality, fully within that space. In the event of distortion, or in the event of a change in perception, are there checks? Are there things put in place to ensure that either users are not overwhelmed, that they begin to experience a distortion in what is and what isn't? Because I foresee a whole new area of, should I use the word psychology? Because when we say this technology is immersive, it means you're totally experiencing it. You're totally feeling what is being felt there. You're totally experiencing the experiences being, recorded in there. And in the event that this begins to alter what is originally or what usually obtains in the real world, what are the checks that the creators of these particular spaces are putting in place to ensure that this doesn't happen? Because let's face it, even without the use of these things, there are people that are predisposed or susceptible to distorted versions of realities. People with conditions, people, and they go about doing one or two things, and technically by law they cannot be held accountable to these things because they are the definition of, should we use the word clinically insane? They are the definition of there's a word, there's the definition of insanity comes in here. So I'm saying, in events that this happens, in events that within the metaverse, time is altered, your perception of time is altered, or you're less aware of yourself, or you become less aware of your immediate environment, is there help, or are there mechanisms to help you cope, or are there mechanisms to either prevent this from happening or to provide remedies to these situations? These are the questions that should be asked, or these are the questions, or these are the examples of the challenges that plague. These are the examples of the challenges that face the metaverse, and what it's trying to establish in our today's world. Let me conclude by saying that yes, the metaverse is essential. It is timely. It is essential. It's a timely innovation. It's an essential innovation. But we should not, on the basis of that, sacrifice due process and order. We should not, on the basis of that, turn a blind eye to the loopholes and the loopholes and the I don't want to use the word blind spots, but the loopholes of that particular of this particular creation. As much as we look forward to experiencing yet another alternate world, as much as we look forward to, buying and selling a world where you can, be anywhere you want to be and not hindered by bureaucracy, or, not hindered by international laws, or in as much as we want to do these things, we must, as we build this particular space, we must build guidelines and codes. We must build all the relevant we must build all the relevant things that would ensure that users have a safe experience, and users, are able to access this particular reality and come out either unscarred or come out safe. Basically, users are able to do these things safely. Users are not targeted by use of doing this. Users are not harmed, whether economically or financially, or either by the use of their data in an unauthorized manner. We ensure that, users are safe, essentially, because it would be a shameful thing where the world is terrible. We all know the world is terrible, and you seek to escape the world by logging onto your virtual reality, and you are being scammed there too, or because of you exhibiting some kind of behaviors, or your patterns are tracked, and it becomes a source of data that can be exploited, and you realize that, oh, you're being exploited. I feel like it would be a shame, because the idea or the promise behind the metaverse is total freedom, while being in a safe space of your own, being away from everybody, yet having the opportunity to interact with everybody. Total freedom, while having that freedom to interact with everybody. So I believe that even as much as it develops, even as much as activities are geared towards making the metaverse the next big thing, there should be some kind of structure to ensure that users are safe, and it doesn't become what the world is, and it doesn't become more of a distasteful experience that people shy away from using it, because let's face it, it is important. So I believe that even as it develops, there should be some sort of guidelines developed alongside it to ensure safe user experience. So that brings me to the end of the presentation. I hopefully we were able to get one or two things from everything I've said. Thank you.
Julia, are you frozen?
Thank you very much. So I would have loved to read his profile. I don't know if you can see what I'm trying to share, but if you can see it, David Asamoye is an engineer with Archain Publishing. He's a software engineer with a strong interest in blockchain and the virtual reality space. He's passionate about startups and open source projects. David has experience in building production-ready user interfaces, RESTful APIs, and several blockchain technologies. He's a language/framework agnostic software engineer with a core interest in blockchain, open source, and the metaverse. Over to you, David. Thank you so much for joining us.
Okay, Chukwemeka, your presentation was pretty cool. The very first thing I would like us to understand about the ongoing progress with the metaverse is that, how do I say this now? There isn't any one notion of the metaverse. Now, the ideal metaverse, or the ones that we read about a lot, is like the one you were describing, the metaverse. But that is going to be a very Herculean task to build. The reason I'm saying that is because a lot of companies are working on their own version of a metaverse. So Facebook have an idea of what they want the metaverse to be. Microsoft is doing theirs. A lot of blockchain technologies are doing theirs. And so, like we know, these companies do not like sharing data. So it's like Facebook as an application and Twitter as an application. So you can't use your Facebook account on Twitter, neither can you use your Twitter account on Facebook. So they have their different databases, they have their different systems and their different technologies. And as it is currently, that is how the metaverse is going. So it is only in the blockchain space that a lot of blockchain technologies are trying to create bridges. So bridges are what lets you share data from one blockchain technology to another blockchain technology. Well, possibly down the road, there might be things might change and it might become possible, or these companies may open up their databases to allow for sharing of data. So right now, my point is, right now, what we have are different versions of metaverses. Then, as regarding the regulation you spoke about, I strongly believe that the regulations would work similar to the way regulations in applications work at the moment. So on Twitter, for example, Twitter has their policies that there are languages you can't use, there are things you can't say. So if you make a tweet if you make a post on Twitter and it is perceived as a racial tweet, your account can get blocked. And so similarly, regulations can work like that in the metaverse. And okay, almost every one of you are lawyers. So yeah, so like we know, regulations are things that evolves, just like the Constitution. So there will always be amendments to regulations depending on events and scenarios. So because as scenarios and events come up, there are the current state of regulations may not be able to cater for some certain events and some certain scenarios, and so there have to be modifications and amendments to those regulations. The future of the metaverse, like you said, Chukwemeka, I strongly believe that the future of the metaverse is going to be a lot more immersive than it currently is. Like I know PlayStation is currently working on their own, the PSVR 2. I don't know if any one of you are familiar with PlayStation VR 1, that is the current one, but they are working on the one that will be used on the PlayStation 5 console, and that should have a much better haptic feedback than the current one. So which means that in a case like the example you described, in a case where you're being shot, you sort of have a feel to it. So there'll be a feel to a lot of these things. And also Microverse is working, Microsoft, I meant, is working on, they didn't really call it a metaverse, but sort of like a VR space for their offices, where all their different offices can have a VR space where they use their either the HoloLens, that is Microsoft's own version of their headsets, to communicate via these devices. And then Meta, of course, Facebook, working on theirs with Oculus. And you have blockchain technologies like Mana, Decentraland, and quite a number of them that are working on their own versions of the metaverse. So it's for me, I believe that the peak of the metaverse would happen when every of these several metaverses or virtual spaces would become interconnected. Because if they're just different standalone applications or standalone platforms, it's going to be difficult to achieve that concept of a true metaverse. So by a true metaverse, I mean an alternate universe where everything is interconnected. And so for us to achieve a true metaverse, we have to achieve bridging or interconnectivity between each of these existing platforms and even the platforms that are being built. So are there any other questions?
So that was the only question that was asked.
So can I add
don't
on?
know if there are more questions.
You can ask.
Okay. I wanted to ask. Can you speak to us on? Can you speak to us on?
Okay, yes, please.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me? Is this clear? I think it's lagging a bit.
I can hear you.
Okay, yes. Can you speak to us on because I was doing the research, and while most of the literature I found on the topic projected the metaverse as yes, a virtual space where you can do things, I'm more concerned as to how to access this space. Now I understand that the metaverse has been spoken about or has been written about is, like you just said, when other creators of quote unquote of this metaverse, come together and, should I use the word sync? Come together and sync. Let me use that word. Come together and sync up, their different creation and to make it a seamless kind of reality. But can you speak to us as to the point of entry or the I use the word terminal. Let me find. Sorry, I wrote it down somewhere. I use the word terminal points. Yes, terminal points.
So I understand where you're driving at. Like I was saying, a lot of these tech giants, and even not just necessarily tech giants, but even startups have are either building or currently have a device that should enable you communicate with the metaverse. And not even the future, like the current devices we have, so your mobile phones and your laptops, they are powerful enough to actually process 3D or virtual reality data. And so like they're very affordable and cheap VR headsets you have. So you have the ones as low as even 20,000 naira and 15,000 naira that you can actually put your phone inside of them. And so this should give you access to a 3D world. Apple is currently working on a VR glasses. I think it will be released sometime, probably next year. So they haven't really mentioned anything about it. So it's just been rumors. And so a lot of these companies, like there was one I saw from, there's a company in Europe that released a VR headset. If you're so much into virtual reality, or if you've used the virtual reality headset before, something you would observe is, as much as like I have one here sitting with me currently, so as much as the resolution of the screen is very high, but because there is a lens in front of the screen, so, and you know that a lens magnifies things. So the lens, because it is trying to shoot picture in a 3D form rather than the regular 2D like you have on your normal screen, so your phone screen and your laptop screens or computer screens. So the lens magnifies those images and those images become pixelated. So even when you have a very high screen, like a 4K screen, but because of that magnification, you still get to see pixels. And in reality, there are you have no pixels. So when you see things with your eyes, you don't see pixels. So everything is well in shape. And so there are devices that are currently being built to solve that problem. Because if you're seeing pixels, it wouldn't look as sharp or as real as it would you won't have that feel of reality. And so that's why for example, if you've played a game on PlayStation 5 and a game on PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2, you would see that the difference is there is a very wide difference between them, because a PlayStation 1 game or a PlayStation 2 game is highly pixelated, whereas a PlayStation 5 game is something close to a real image, because there are a lot of technologies like anti-aliasing technologies and a lot of modeling that has been done to ensure that it appears you don't have pixels, the pixels appearing. And also PlayStation 5 renders at, I think about, PlayStation 5 supports 4K, and so 4K resolution, it's so if from a normal viewing angle, so by normal viewing angle I mean the angle at which you sit from your seat to your TV screen or your computer screen, you won't really observe any pixel. And so these are some of the challenges that are with the current devices that we have, the current virtual reality devices, or what you call terminals to the metaverse. So, but there are tools and there are research that is going on to solve these problems, and also to make high quality virtual reality devices readily available for everyone. Because even if you were to get a good VR device, I'm not talking about the ones where you have to use your mobile phone now. I'm talking about a standalone VR device. You should be spending at least 200,000 naira and above. And so not a lot of people would want to consider that to get a VR device. Even a lot of people even consider that a lot to get a mobile phone or a computer, then not talk of a VR device. So, but if these challenges that I spoke about, like the pixelating and some other challenges, are being fixed, and these VR headsets are being sold at very affordable prices, and their sizes are small, like the one I have here is quite small. This is a standalone Oculus headset, but still it's still not very portable. So a true entry to the metaverse, it has to be mobile. So it has to be something that you can easily put in your purse and put in your pocket and your bag or whatever, so to move out or do things like that. So they have to be made smaller. I know that there is one, I really don't remember the name. So there was one a colleague was showing me. So it's smaller than this, and the quality should be higher, because this one, I got this one as far back as I think 2018. So it's due for upgrade. So as regarding terminals, the devices would act as terminals, basically.
All right.
That,
Yes, it is clear. Thank you. And can I finally ask, because I was the research was not very, very clear to me. What is the place of NFTs in the metaverse, and NFTs on their own in the metaverse, and NFTs as a form of payment in the metaverse? I don't know if you could shed more light on that, because I came across that, and they seem like, although related concept, I didn't know that those pictures themselves can be used as a form of currency, or unless it's maybe as an exchange. I'm not very sure. I don't know. If you could shed more light on that, please.
Firstly, from our knowledge of history, we know that a currency is something that two or more people or persons have accepted to use as a medium of exchange. That's correct, right? And so this is why NFTs are tradable or are made to be tradable. So NFTs are basically tokens, just like you have your BTC is not a token. So just like you have, let me use Ethereum, for example. So as much as Ethereum is a coin, now the difference between a coin and a token is, I'm digressing a little, but the difference between a coin and a token is, a coin is the native currency of a blockchain, and then tokens are a smart contract on a blockchain. And so NFTs are tokens on a blockchain also. And so you can do a whole lot with them because they are customizable. There's a whole lot you can do with them. And so people like, or companies like Decentraland, Alice, and a lot of blockchain gaming companies use these NFTs as either in-game assets or as assets in their own version of the metaverse. And so this is how the blockchain sees the blockchain metaverse. You know that Facebook, Microsoft, and some other companies that are non-blockchain companies have their own version of the metaverse. And then blockchain companies have their own version of the metaverse. And so with these, because of the way blockchain is, and because of the fact that a number of blockchain technologies are working on or have bridges already, it makes possible for you to transfer an NFT asset from one application on the blockchain or one blockchain to another blockchain. Exactly.
Yes, I think I understand the concept now. Thank you.
Okay, so Chukwuemeka, what's your take on the Web3 and the metaverse? I think that's basically what I just explained. So it's the blockchain have their own version of the metaverse that relies heavily at the moment, relies heavily on the use of NFTs. So that basically is the link between the metaverse or the blockchain metaverse and Web3. So it uses a lot of, like, there's virtually no, as much as a real metaverse doesn't exist at the moment, but most of the blockchain companies that are using the brand words, the metaverse, relies heavily on NFTs. Is there any other question?
Okay, thank you very much, David. Sorry, I think that's my internet. Okay, thank you very much, David, for today. And I'm really excited about the topic and the engagement between the mentees and the mentor. And I think that this is a very interesting topic because there are a lot of things that will be getting to unfold as the future progresses and all that. So thank you so much for the engagement. Thank you for joining us, Mr. David. Thank you, Chisom, Chukwuemeka, Abraham, and next week Friday again. And sorry for the internet. Well, I can't really apologize because this is not my fault or anybody's fault. It's just where we are, how things are. Still, thank you so much. Have an amazing weekend, everyone. Take care.
All right.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.